Do you believe that a simple gesture can change the fate of two families? Murtala Muhammad International Airport in Lagos was bustling on that hot Monday morning. Loudspeakers announced flights in Yoruba, Hausa, and English. Luggage carts rolled hurriedly, children cried, and taxi drivers persistently offered their services in tired voices. Amidst the organized chaos, one figure stood out from the automated motion. Mama Ife, dark-skinned with a timid smile, wore a navy blue iro tied with precision and a carefully folded white headscarf. She carried an old bag on her shoulder, and between her wrinkled fingers, a boarding pass, already folded, sweaty, and nearly illegible. She looked at the electronic boards without understanding the abbreviations. Everyone's rush only made her feel more out of place. The world around her seemed to spin faster than she could keep up with. She stopped beside one of the pillars and took a deep breath. She tried to smile at a passing attendant but was ignored. Her heart raced with the discomfort of someone who feels like a burden in their own country. Then, she spotted a young woman with a camera slung over her shoulder and headphones around her neck. She had a sharp gaze and the aura of someone unafraid to talk to strangers. Gathering her courage, Mama Ife stepped closer and said sweetly, though with some shyness, "My daughter, can you help me? I can't find my boarding gate." Amina Okoro hadn't expected to be interrupted. She was on her way to an important job with a fashion client and was already running late. Her Uber had taken longer than expected, but when she looked up and saw that elderly woman, fragile yet dignified, with a ticket in her hands and a trembling voice, something tugged at her chest. She thought of her own mother, who was also stubborn and insisted on being independent even during chemotherapy. Amina smiled gently, removed her headphones, and replied, "Of course, let me see." She took the paper, which was barely holding together, and read the information carefully. "You're going to Port Harcourt. Your gate is 17. It's on the other side. Come, I'll take you." Amina's story is breathtaking, and it's only just beginning. So make sure you're subscribed to this channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any updates. Let's keep going. As they walked together, Mama Ife began to open up like a flower touched by the first morning sun. She shared how her son had insisted she travel alone, said it was time she proved she was strong enough. "Men think courage is not asking for help. I think it's the opposite," she said, smiling. Amina laughed. She shared briefly that she was also an only child and that her mother was ill. The walk to the gate felt far too short for the number of things they had in common. It was as if fate had wanted them there, in that exact moment, walking side by side as though they shared a lifetime together. But while that connection blossomed between the two, women Chijioke Ize watched from a distance, leaning against a newsstand. He wore a light blue, tailored, spotless suit. His face looked calm, but his eyes betrayed an inner conflict. He had arrived earlier than he should have. In fact, he had mistaken his mother's flight time, thinking she would be arriving instead of departing. He was ready to surprise her with flowers and a driver. But what he saw was something else entirely. His mother walking with a strange young woman, not a professional companion or a church friend, but a stranger, dressed in ripped jeans, a loose t-shirt, and a messy bun. Immediately, worry lit up in his mind like a fluorescent bulb. Who is this woman? Why is my mother smiling at her with such trust? His protective instinct and the natural fear of appearances hit him hard. His mind began to race. What if she was a scammer, an opportunist? After all, Lagos was known for surprises, not all of them good. And there she was, laughing beside his mother like they were old friends. For a moment he wanted to step in. He wanted to walk over, interrupt the conversation, and take his mother away from the stranger. But something stopped him. Maybe it was the way Mama Ife gently held the young woman's arm, or the way Amina listened, with genuine interest, not condescension. Small details, but sincere ones. And sincerity is hard to fake. It's the kind of thing the eyes notice before the heart admits it. Chijioke discreetly pulled out his phone. He took a photo. He didn't quite know why he was doing it. Was it to remember her face? To ask later who she was? Or maybe to capture that rare moment in which his mother, for the first time in years, actually looked light, carefree, happy. The two women said their goodbyes and the young lady walked away. But what he didn't know yet was that, by capturing that moment, he had also taken the first frame of a story that would change all of their lives. 3 weeks had passed since the encounter at the airport, and Amina Okoro's life continued to spin as usual. Video editing work during the day, side jobs as a waitress at night, caring for her mother on weekends. Her days were rushed, exhausting, and quietly lonely. Until, on a muggy morning, while sipping instant coffee from a chipped mug, she noticed something different in her inbox. The name carried a forgotten tenderness, Mama Eve. Her first reaction was surprise, followed by a shy smile. How did she get my email? She wondered. But the answer came just below in the body of the message. Hello, my dear, I'm the lady you helped at the airport. I hope you don't find it too forward, but I would really love to buy you a coffee, or a Zobo if you prefer. I got your contact with the help of a friend from the clinic where your mother receives treatment. Please don't be alarmed. I promise I'm just a grateful old woman. Amina felt warmth in her chest. She didn't hesitate. She quickly typed her reply. Of course. Mama Ife, it will be a pleasure to see you again. Just let me know the day. She didn't know exactly why, but that invitation felt necessary, as if life were finally asking for a sweet pause. The meeting was set for a Saturday afternoon in a quiet bakery on Victoria Island, famous for its colonial pastries and a garden filled with old mango trees. The place was almost poetic, and Amina sensed that as soon as she arrived. From a distance, she saw Mama Eve sitting under the shade of a tree, wearing a floral Ankara dress in yellow and green tones, with golden earrings that sparkled in the sunlight. The woman's smile was as genuine as someone reunited with a childhood friend. "You came!" exclaimed Mama Eve, standing up with some effort, but her eyes gleaming. "Of course I came. I never turned down Zobo and a good chat," Amina replied, already laughing. They sat down, and the conversation began light-heartedly, filled with small memories. Mama Ife talked about how she had gotten flustered boarding the plane, about how airports always confused her, and about her son's insistence on making her more independent. They laughed at silly situations, shared details about their week, and exchanged thoughts on the city. Then, in a moment of comfortable silence, Mama Ife said, "You remind me of my daughter, Amaka. She lives in London. She has a good life but is always busy. Lagos can be a very lonely place for a woman my age. Your company reminded me what it feels like to be seen." Amina remained silent for a moment, absorbing that simple yet profound confession. She looked at Mama Ife and saw something deeper, the pain of absence, the speed of time, children growing up and moving on, leaving behind those who raised them. There was a kind of loneliness that no medicine or video call could heal, only presence. So, driven by something stronger than caution, Amina began to share about herself, at first timidly, then with ease. She told her that she had lost her father in her teenage years, that her mother was now battling a serious illness, and that though she worked as a video editor and waitress, her greatest passion was writing stories. "I've always loved creating worlds, but I never had the time or enough courage. I write in secret on my phone in the Notes app, sometimes at night while waiting for orders at the diner." Mama Ife's eyes filled with tears, not from pity, but admiration. There was such beautiful strength in that soft-spoken young woman who carried the weight of the world and still knew how to smile. "You are very strong, Amina, and very rare. You know what touched me most that day at the airport? It wasn't that you helped me, but how you helped me, with patience, with eyes that see beyond the now." They talked for hours. Time seemed to forget to pass. They exchanged childhood stories, spoke about favorite foods, books that left a mark, and phrases from their parents that never faded. Amina shared how her mother loved telling old stories and how perhaps that's where her love for words came from. Mama Ife revealed that she had been a teacher for over 30 years, and what she missed the most was hearing the vibrant voices of hopeful youth. The waiter came twice to ask if they wanted anything else. The first time they ordered more Zobo. The second they were too immersed in conversation to even notice. It was as if the world around them had vanished. Only the two of them remained. 2 generations, 2 distinct sorrows, united by the simplicity of a gesture. The farewell was serene yet filled with something invisible, a kind of bond that doesn't need words to be sealed. "Shall we do this again?" asked Mama Ife, gently squeezing Amina's hand. "Yes, any time you'd like." As Amina walked back to the bus stop, she felt an unexpected sense of relief. What she didn't yet know was that her life was about to change completely. If you were in Amina's place, would you have accepted Mama Eve's invitation? Or would you have been hesitant? Comment below. I would go or I'd hesitate, and tell us why. Let's chat in the comments. After the bakery meeting, Amina and Mama Efe began talking almost every day. Sometimes it was just simple messages, a good morning, my dear, or a sweet audio full of advice, but on other occasions their conversations lasted for hours, sharing thoughts on books, movies, and even old family recipes. The bond between them had become a refuge, a space where time felt more gentle. It was curious how two women from such different generations could find so much comfort in each other. What Amina didn't expect was that this sweet and natural connection would lead her into a world completely different from her own, the world of the Ease family. The invitation came as casually as one might offer a regular Sunday. Amina, dear, why don't you come have lunch with us this weekend? I want you to meet my son. Mama Efe's tone was casual, but something in the way she said, my son, made Amina pause. Still, she accepted. Maybe out of gratitude, maybe out of curiosity, or perhaps out of that quiet longing to belong, even if just for a few hours, to something bigger than her whirlwind of lonely days. The following Sunday dawned bright and breezy, and Amina, though a bit nervous, put on her best outfit, a high-waisted navy blue skirt and a white cotton blouse with delicate buttons. Simple, yet elegant. She wanted to make a good impression, without seeming forced. When she arrived at the Ease mansion in the upscale neighborhood of Ikoyi, Amina felt small. The house, surrounded by tall palm trees and blooming red hibiscus bushes, looked like something out of an old Nigerian film, the kind with traditional families, spacious living rooms, and hallways filled with secrets. A security guard greeted her with a restrained smile and announced her arrival over the radio. Within seconds, the main door opened, revealing Mama Efe, beaming. My daughter, you really came? Amina smiled, relieved to see a familiar face. Of course, Mama, I said I would. And then she stepped inside. The first thing she noticed was the smell of fresh food, jollof rice, roasted meat, and a faint aroma of nutmeg coming from a dish still in the oven. The living room was spacious with dark wood furniture, beige linen upholstery, and golden accents on picture frames and lamps. On the walls, family portraits, some old, others more recent, displayed generations of the Easy lineage, all with the same look of quiet determination. It was a space that demanded posture, silence in every step, and caution in every word. Amina sensed that instinctively and adjusted herself. A world different from hers, more formal, more scrutinized. It was there in the center of the room that she met Chijioke. He was standing, talking to an older man in a gray suit, and turned when he heard his mother's voice. He wore a white linen shirt, cream-colored dress pants, and well-polished leather shoes, clean-shaven hair neatly trimmed. Everything about him spoke of discipline, perhaps even rigidity. His eyes, when they met hers, did not convey immediate warmth. Ah, so you're Amina. The tone was polite, but lacked enthusiasm. I am, and you must be the famous Chijioke. Your mother talks a lot about you. I hope only good things. The very best. The exchange was polite, courteous, but there was an invisible tension. He seemed to be assessing her, as if every word were a clue and every gesture a potential mistake. Amina, for her part, kept smiling, though she felt the weight of his gaze. It was like being in an interview she never signed up for. Still, she remained composed. She knew the type, a man who trusted only what he could control, and therefore distrusted anything that came from chance. During lunch, they sat at the large veranda table, covered with a fine lace cloth and surrounded by antique chairs with hand-carved backs. There were guests, two family, friend couples, and an elderly lady who, by her accent, was from eastern Nigeria. The conversation revolved around politics, business, the new Ease company headquarters, and a recent trip to South Africa. Amina remained quiet for most of it, responding only when directly addressed. Mama Efe, noticing her discomfort, made sure to include her in the conversation with questions about her mother, her work, and her opinions on Nigerian cinema. Chijioke, on the other hand, remained in a gray area. Not hostile, but not welcoming either. Every now and then he cast brief glances at Amina, not with romantic curiosity, but like someone studying an out-of-place piece on a chessboard. She noticed, and it made her uneasy. During dessert, a banana pie served with homemade vanilla cream, the silence between them grew heavier. There was no coldness, but no warmth either, only something building between them, a field of energy that pulled them together and pushed them apart at the same time, like magnets in a controlled collision. At the end of lunch, as the guests began to leave, Chijioke offered to walk Amina to the gate. It was the least he could do according to the unspoken protocol of the house. They walked side by side in silence, passing through the inner garden to the main gate where the guard waited with the gate half open. Then, as they stopped, he spoke. "You're the famous Amina." She laughed, a little surprised by the repetition of the phrase. "And you must be the reserved Chijioke. Thank you for making my mother smile again." It was a simple sentence, but it carried unexpected weight. For the first time, Amina saw something in his eyes, a crack in the wall, a restrained emotion, a vulnerability slipping through a tiny gap. She didn't reply with words, only with a gentle smile. And in that moment, something was established between them. Something neither of them yet understood, but could no longer ignore. From that first lunch at the mansion, Amina's presence began to become a quiet, yet meaningful constant. There were no exaggerations, no intrusions. She only came when invited, sometimes for tea on the veranda, other times to help Mama Aoife with the garden pots, or simply to talk under the mango tree on cooler afternoons. With each visit, the once rigid atmosphere began to soften. The Ease house, long accustomed to measured steps and restrained voices, now became familiar with the sound of gentle laughter and spontaneous conversations. But while the garden bloomed again under symbolic care, Chijioke's heart remained barren. Chijioke observed. He observed everything, with the eyes of someone taught to doubt before trusting. During a squash match with his best friend Uche, he finally voiced the thought that had lingered for days. "She's young, she's always here. What if she's after the family's money?" Uche, who had known Chijioke since their school days, slammed his racket down and rolled his eyes. "Your mother has never been this happy. Bro, maybe you're seeing a problem where there's only affection." But Chijioke couldn't simply turn off that part of his mind. He had seen the worst in people. From his father, he had inherited distrust as a survival tool, and even without proof, doubt gnawed at him like silent termites in old wood. The truth, however, was undeniable. Amina had never asked for anything. She declined gifts, insisted on paying for her own transport, and often brought homemade treats to share. More than anything, she carried a rare lightness, the kind that fills a room without making noise. Still, Chijioke kept his distance, cordial but distant. The wall within him seemed to have been built brick by brick over an entire lifetime. Tearing it down would take more than kindness. It would take truth. It was on a regular Thursday afternoon that the unexpected began to reveal itself. Mama Aoife, as usual, was tending to the plants in the backyard, the same garden once curated by the family's old gardener, now just a distant memory. Amina, with her sleeves rolled up and her knees dirty with soil, was helping to plant white hibiscus seedlings when she remarked almost casually, as if to fill the silence, "My mother loved flowers, and my father, well, he was a gardener. His name was Ikenna Okoro. Maybe that's why I love the earth so much." Mama Aoife froze. Her gardening gloves slipped from her fingers. The seed packet fell onto the damp soil. For a brief moment, time seemed to stop. Amina noticed the reaction and grew concerned. "Is everything all right, Mama?" Yes, my dear. I just got distracted," the older woman replied, trying to smile. But the light in her eyes had dimmed, if only for a moment. Amina pressed gently. "Do you know that name?" Mama Aoife hesitated, crouched down again and started turning over the soil, as if seeking in the roots an answer she didn't know how to give. "I know many names. Lagos has plenty of Okoros. It might just be a coincidence," she murmured, averting her gaze, and with that she changed the subject, asking if Amina preferred zobo or ginger juice. Amina noticed. She noticed there was something there, but out of respect, she didn't insist, at least not at that moment. Still, a seed had been planted, and it was starting to sprout in silence. Later that night, Chijioke was in the house library, reviewing company documents, when Mama Aoife entered quietly. She sat in front of him, holding a mug of tea, as if she were holding an old truth. "Ikenna Okoro," she began. Chijioke looked up slowly. "He worked here for 18 years. He was a good man, dedicated, quiet. Your father accused him of stealing a gold bracelet, fired him without even hearing his side." Chijioke furrowed his brow, breath caught in his chest. "But did he steal it?" "No," Mama Aoife replied firmly. "The bracelet was at the jeweler's. We only found out weeks later, but it was too late. Ikenna had disappeared. We never heard from him again, and I never." Forgave myself for not stopping it. The silence that followed was not awkward but heavy. Chijioke leaned back in his chair, stunned. It was as if the past had risen before him, wearing the face of a young woman now frequenting his home. A soft-spoken woman, a woman named Amina Okoro. Days later, calmer now, he decided to invite her for a casual conversation in the garden. He wanted to observe, to confirm, to understand. They were alone under the mango tree when he asked about her father. Amina, unaware of the storm behind that question, answered lightly. My father passed away when I was a teenager. He was a quiet man, but good, worked as a gardener, went through many homes, but he never spoke much about his employers. He just said he preferred the silence of plants. Chijioke swallowed hard. The confirmation hit like a silent blow, but he still didn't know how to process it. He still didn't know what it meant. A few days later, on a quieter afternoon, Mama Ife, perhaps driven by guilt or the need to finally tell the truth, decided to open up. While watering the plants, she turned to Amina and said in a low voice, as one sharing a secret, "You know, I think your father worked here, in this very house, many years ago." Amina's eyes widened in surprise. Really? Here? But how? He never mentioned it. Some men prefer to hide their wounds, the older woman replied. But why hide something like that? Maybe because it hurt too much. Amina laughed, unsettled. Wow, that's strange. I've been here so many times and I never imagined. She didn't know yet. She had no idea about the depth of pain, humiliation, and injustice buried in the very soil she now stepped on so naturally. But she was about to find out. And when she did, nothing would ever be the same. If this story gripped you like it has touched thousands here on this channel, hit that like button. Your support matters. The day after the conversation with Mama Ife, Amina felt a persistent discomfort in her chest. It was as if she had opened a door inside herself and still didn't know what lay on the other side. Heart tight, she picked up one of the cakes she usually took to her mother and headed to the hospital, where she was still undergoing treatment. Upon arriving at the room, she found her mother sitting up, eyes lost in the grey cityscape outside the window. Ngozi Okoro, though physically frail, still carried in her gaze the same determined glow of someone who had faced life without ever bowing her head. "Mom," Amina began, sitting at the bedside, "remember the lady I told you about? The one from the airport?" "The kind lady?" her mother asked absently. "Yes, Mama Ife. I've been visiting her often, and yesterday she told me she thinks Dad may have worked at her house years ago." Her mother's smile disappeared instantly. Her face paled with frightening speed. The glow in her eyes was replaced by a heavy shadow, as if an old ghost had just entered the room. "What did you say?" Her voice came out as a whisper, yet carried a commanding strength Amina didn't recognize. "She thinks Dad was their gardener for many years, at the Ease mansion." Her mother gripped the bedsheets tightly. Her breathing quickened. Then, with held-back tears and a trembling voice, she said what Amina never expected to hear. "Your mother knows exactly who they are, and you need to know too. Your father, Ikenna Okoro, worked in that house for 18 years. He was respected for her time, but everything changed overnight. He was accused of stealing a gold bracelet from the lady of the house. Back then, they didn't even let him defend himself. He was humiliated in front of other workers, fired on the spot. He wasn't even allowed to return for his tools." Amina felt the ground crumble beneath her. Mama Ife's affectionate maternal face now blended with a story of injustice and pain. She tried to process the information, but everything inside her was confusion. "But, Mama, Ife is so kind, so sweet. How could that have happened?" Ngozi took a deep breath, her eyes distant. Weeks later, they found the bracelet at the jeweler's, but no one reached out to apologize. No one cared. Your father, he never got over it. The shame consumed him. He stopped smiling, stopped talking much. Even to me, a heavy silence settled between mother and daughter. Then the matriarch's voice returned, firmer. "Promise me you'll stay away. Promise me you'll never set foot in that house." Again, Amina looked down. The conflict between reason and heart now tore her apart. "Mama, I didn't know, but now I understand. I understand how much it must have hurt. Then promise." She hesitated. "I need to think." But the truth was, Amina had already made her choice. The past shook her, but her intuition screamed something stronger, that maybe there was still a part of the story left untold, and that someone in that house also carried wounds of their own. The following Sunday, when she met Chijioke again in the garden, She confronted him with the strength only a wounded but whole soul can summon. "My father was ruined by your family's pride." The words cut the air like a blade. Chijioke said nothing, his eyes fixed on the ground. The truth he now knew hurt more when spoken by her. "You didn't just fire him, you silenced him." "I didn't know," he murmured. "But my mother, she was against all of it. She tried. She suffered too." Amina didn't respond. There was much pain between them for any explanation to suffice, but something in her eyes said this wasn't the end. A few weeks later, Mama Ife suffered a mild stroke. The news came via a short, cold phone call. Amina, who had kept her distance since the confrontation, didn't hesitate. She rushed to the hospital. Upon arrival, she found Chijioke in the waiting room, eyes hollow, face exhausted. Without a word, he led her to a quieter corner. "She asked me to give you this, in case you came." In Amina's hands, he placed a time-yellowed envelope. Inside, a delicately folded letter. The handwriting was firm, round, unmistakably her father's. As she read, tears began to fall, one by one. "Dear Mrs. Ease, despite the way I left your house, I carry in my heart the good years of service. The garden I nurtured there holds pieces of my soul. I hold no resentment. Life is too short for grudges. May you and your family be at peace. Ikena Okoro." Amina broke down. The quiet strength of her father, even in the face of injustice, touched her more deeply than ever before. The man she loved and admired had chosen forgiveness. And in that moment, something inside her changed. Later, in the hospital room, Mama Ife waited for her with a weak but still bright smile. "My daughter, you came." "I couldn't not come." With a fading voice, Mama Ife took her hand. "Promise me you won't abandon my son. He needs someone like you. Someone to help him see the world with more light." Amina looked into the woman's eyes. She was no longer the girl full of certainties. She was now someone who understood the weight of stories and the value of forgiveness. "I promise." Hours later, Mama Ife passed away, silently, leaving behind an absence that echoed like a lament through the hospital halls. Chijioke wept quietly. Amina, by his side, held her father's letter in trembling hands. Have you ever experienced a moment where forgiveness spoke louder than pain? Comment below. "I understand, Amina," or "That letter moved me," and if you'd like, share your story. Your comment might touch someone else who needs to hear about forgiveness today. The hospital smelled of disinfectant and silence. Amina had rushed back as soon as she heard her mother had worsened. Along the way, she held on to hope, that she'd find her awake, that she could hold her hand one last time, say she loved her, that she forgave her harshness, her rigidity, her pain. But when she arrived, the stretcher was already empty. The nurse, with tired eyes and a soft voice, confirmed what Amina's heart already knew. Her mother had passed away just hours before. The last person to see her alive was a social worker who said she looked peaceful, as if she were waiting for something, or someone, who never arrived in time. 2 losses in such a short time. First Mama Ife, now her mother. Amina felt hollow inside, as if life had extinguished the last candle of an intimate altar. She returned home alone, to a room that no longer felt like hers. The curtains seemed heavier, the furniture colder. She sat on the living room floor, head between her knees, and cried like she hadn't since childhood. In that moment, she wasn't the strong, independent woman everyone admired. She was just a daughter without a mother, an orphan of affection. Hours later, as night swallowed the city, the doorbell rang. Amina wasn't expecting anyone. When she opened the door, there was Chijioke, dressed simply, dark jeans and a white shirt. No suit, no formality, just him, with his eyes downcast and a bag in hand. "I heard what happened, and I came." Amina tried to speak, but no words came. She simply let him in. For the first time, there were no barriers between them. Chijioke didn't bring flowers. He brought fried rice with vegetables, a blanket, and a bottle of coconut water. "Things your mother would approve of," he said. That night, there were no promises, no declarations. There was just presence, a presence so steady that Amina fell asleep with her head on his shoulder, as if that silent gesture carried more comfort than any prayer. The next day, he handled everything, from announcing the death to the paperwork to organizing the funeral service. He called the pastor, paid for the cremation, chose the flowers based on old family photos. And even when Amina tried to object, he replied calmly, "You've carried everything alone for too long. Let me carry a bit now." At the service, He stayed by her side the entire time, discreet but present. Amina's grief was deep, but no longer lonely. Days later, with the house quiet and her heart trying to piece itself together, Chijioke showed up with an unexpected invitation. "Let's have coffee. At my place?" Amina hesitated. Not because of the invitation itself, but because of what that house symbolized. Still, she accepted. It was time to face the past with new eyes. They sat in the garden, where morning light filtered through the mango leaves. Chijioke brought fresh coffee served in cups passed down from his grandmother. Neither spoke for a while. They simply watched the wind sway the flowers. Amina was the first to break the silence. "I'm writing something." "A script?" he asked, curious. She nodded. "About a gardener, and about secrets buried in the roots of an old house." Chijioke smiled and led her to a corner of the garden where a new rosebush had been planted. "This is Ikena's grace. I planted it in honor of your father, and of the second chance fate gave us." Amina knelt before the plant, touched its young stem, and silent tears rolled down. They weren't tears of sorrow, they were of healing. It was there, beneath the same mango tree where two children had once played without knowing who they were, that their first kiss happened. Gentle, sincere, the kind of kiss that doesn't say, "I love you," but "I'm here." And sometimes, that's even stronger. Weeks passed. One day, Amina received an offer to film a documentary in Nairobi. 3 months of travel, a huge opportunity, but also a big question. She told Chijioke during a walk in the garden. He listened silently, then asked, "What are we, Amina?" She took a deep breath. "Maybe whatever we're brave enough to be." "Then stay." Amina hesitated. Part of her feared it was all just a response to pain, a disguised healing, but her heart whispered something else, and she was beginning to listen. Months later, they married in the same garden where it all began. The ceremony was simple, surrounded by people who knew the value of pain, resilience, and starting over. There was no show, but there was truth. Marcos, the family's former butler, now retired, gave a brief emotional speech before handing over a yellowed envelope. Inside, a photograph, Ikena, still young, holding baby Amina in his arms. Beside him, a serious boy watching a butterfly land on his finger. Chijioke. On the back of the photo, a handwritten note. "Some seeds take time, but they bloom, even in the hardest soil." Amina and Chijioke created a new garden together, not to bury the past, but to honor it. Beneath the moonlight, they danced slowly on the veranda of the house, now transformed into a home. "It all began with a misplaced boarding pass," whispered Amina. "Or maybe earlier, home with a man who planted beauty, even when no one was watching," replied Chijioke, kissing her forehead. But the story didn't end there. Love can bloom, yes, but keeping a garden alive requires patience, courage, and daily choices. And they knew the real challenges were still to come. Comment below if you made it this far, so I know you stayed with us until the end.